Alright, y'all, I am back after a long hiatus, and I'm probably gonna be pretty inconsistent while I'm finishing up my last year of grad school. I'm pretty busy, but I do want to document as much of the process as possible without giving away the entire film, and I think I'm gonna try to stream when it is especially instructive to do so. Um, so today I'm gonna be working in between uh, ToonBoom Storyboard Pro and Maya, and I'll just kind of show that workflow because I think that'll be kind of cool to preserve and for people to see. Yeah, before I get into it, as always, I just want to shout out the music I'm going to be playing. So today I'm playing live from the Black Box by my homie Mojo. He's actually headlining the Black Box for Electric Tuesdays on October 28th at 9 p.m. doing a 2-hour headlining set, and I think this is his first time headlining that venue. So that's pretty cool, pretty exciting. Shout out to Mojo. Thanks for letting me use your music on my streams. And with that, I can kind of show y'all this process. So basically, I just set my cameras for each shot, and I'll show this off at least once more because I'm already like halfway through this process. But I set up my cameras in Maya, and then I'll take a screenshot and draw directly on top of that in Storyboard Pro. So this shot, you can see I'm using a 2-up split right now, and I have one set to the default perspective and one set to my Shot 2 camera that I made. And if you want to make your own camera, you can just hit Create, Cameras, Camera. It'll place one at the origin. I'm working with like a appropriate scale for Unreal Engine because that's where I'm going to end up rendering this whole film eventually. So everything's kind of big. That's why that camera is so small. You can scale it up. It doesn't actually change the way the camera shoots. It just changes the size of the manipulator. But yeah, I don't actually need this. But what I would do is take that camera that I just made, set it over here, and then in my perspective, I'll just kind of place it where I want it. And you can see I can watch it update live since I'm using that 2-up. I actually want this a bit higher, and you can see the ceiling is in the way, so I'm just gonna hide it. And if I was gonna render in Maya, I would just hide it for the shot, and you can see I can move this up as high as I want it. And I kind of want to show more of the environment. I also could go into this Shot 2 camera settings in the attribute editor and change the focal length, but you can see I'm already using a pretty extreme wide lens, and I don't want to push that too far. I mean, I do actually, but I gotta keep myself reined in. I'm already using a 5mm in the first shot, which is crazy. But it's supposed to be like a pretty disorienting shot. And again, I'm gonna try to demo this creative process without giving away the whole story off the rip, so don't want to say too much. But alright, so I kind of like that. It's kind of at like a weird tilt. Basically this character just snorted blow off the toilet seat and is like coming up all euphoric. This is actually the self-reference I'm using, and I'll probably start, it's kind of a match cut from the last shot, but I'll start like right there. When I'm getting ready to animate, I'll actually pull this into Premiere and like mark out my keyframes. So I have all the movement information, but right now I'm just gonna kind of scrub through it quickly because I'm storyboarding, so I just need it for visual reference to like get my idea across quick, because there's a chance I'll like show this to my professor and he'll be like, I hate this shot, take it out, or like change it or remove the camera or whatever. So I don't want to waste time setting up my like entire animation if I need to reshoot reference. And I actually, when it comes time to animate, will need to reshoot reference because I didn't quite act at an appropriate angle to the camera. But alright, all that said, once you get your camera set, what I like to do is come over to your channel box, layer editor, shift click all of the transformation attributes. Scale doesn't really matter, but the translate and rotate for sure. You want to grab those, right click on them, and hit lock selected, and then you can't move these cameras by accident, because sometimes you might like click into this screen and want to move it around, and then oh, you fucked your shot up and you have no idea what those values were. So we should try to avoid that. But yeah, once you get your camera into place, you can just take a screenshot. I'm going to make sure there's nothing selected. I'm also going to go back to a one view. So if I just hover over the view I want to be centered on and hit the space bar, now this takes up the whole frame. I thought my render settings were different. I'm going to change those really quickly. Maybe, I don't know why they won't come up, huh? Well, what the fuck? That's not good. Oh, there they are, but they're not. Huh, that's strange. I want to make sure I'm using full HD 1080. Whoops. There we go. And now this will just reflect that. And then I can grab a screenshot, and I can come back over to Storyboard Pro. Let me find that picture over here. I will grab that screenshot and just drag and drop it into Storyboard Pro, and then you can see it has those hard blacks. Sometimes I'd also turn the wireframe on so I can see the perspective a little bit better, but I think I should be fine with this. And I'll just go ahead and turn the opacity down off the rip so I can draw black on top of this. Everybody joining in, what's up? Let me know if you got any animation or game dev questions. I'm probably not going to be too interactive today because I'm trying to be a little bit more instructive, not waste time, which I'm doing right now. Alright, so I already showed y'all the reference footage. I'm gonna have that pulled up on my other monitor where you can't see it, but that is what I am using, so artists, don't get mad at me for drawing without a reference, because I'm not doing that. And this kind of cuts after she takes her hand away, but I'm gonna start the cut a little bit earlier than that. And that sort of weird time distortion is gonna play well into like actually what's going on with the narrative. So I said I acted this out at a poor angle to the camera. I actually want her to like end up in front of the sink, so her body should be angled to the toilet. But I'll probably start just by like drawing her feet, and then I can make her have, like take a couple steps back when I need to. And I'll probably start her. I'm drawing very poorly, and I probably should like pay more attention to my what my rig actually looks like, but I haven't finalized the rig yet. Actually, you know what? I might just draw it how it is in my reference. I'm gonna have her take a step back. And I may have pushed this out too far after all, but we'll see. So, whoops. Head's gonna be here. Although, how far down into that motion do I want her to still be? I probably actually want her more like there-ish. Part of me wants to go react this out, but I think I'll be alright for a second. scale is weird too. God, I might need to go in and set the rig up. See if I can figure it out a little bit more. 'Cause drawing is hard, definitely. More comfortable doing 3D shit. But I try to do it all. So, alright. And she looks really small and powerless in frame, which is good. But I think I might be drawing her a little bit too small, but that's okay. I just need to get the idea out and across. So, yep, in the last shot I cut, this hand is still kind of facing down. I think her feet would probably be spread a little bit more than that too. Or at least they should be, so I get a better silhouette. That's kind of where her hand is. This is a really bad drawing, but give me a couple minutes, I'll be warmed up and drawing a lot faster. I actually also think her head is too far removed from her body right there, so it'd be more like that. Wow. Hair dragging down, and this arm is up. Actually, I want it to start where her finger is like still at her nose in proper coke snorting position. Yeah, she does look too small. She doesn't look like she'd be able to stand up and like tower over the sink. So again, I'm being real lazy with this, and I'm sure my perspective is way off, but I'm not drawing this to be pretty. I'm drawing it to figure things out, get the idea across. I think that's quite a bit closer. This is also a really fucked up perspective, so that makes it kind of hard. Cool. Yeah, that's closer. That's a really bad, not helpful drawing all that much, so I'm gonna make it just a little bit cleaner on a different layer real quick. Got her little hair danglies coming off her face. Maybe we'd even be able to see some of her face a little bit from this angle. Also, those are in the wrong spot. Those would be like there. Face, yeah, maybe we can see her nose a little bit. Got her little hair danglies dangling down. Eyes suggest Adam. That head is way too big, or that face is way too small, actually. Wow. Alright. Whoops. Let's make that a little bit nicer. Wow. I should probably draw this arm first, eh? I'm not gonna waste too much time on the hands. Cool. Yeah, that's a pretty nice and crazy pose. God, maybe her head should be rotated up a little bit more. I don't know, it's probably alright. So we got the finger on the nose. That's a pretty weird hand shape. Good thing I'm using a 3D rig. This would not be the nicest board to work 2D off of. Although the first part is 2D, but I'm already really familiar with animating that character. Alright, I'm gonna just get rid of this layer. And then I'm gonna add a quick background layer. There's lots of different ways to storyboard. Some people would work entirely in shades of gray. It is pretty common to do something like this to separate your character like clearly from the background. Just a real quick little fill like that, and then I can turn this all the way up. So, boom, boom. We cut. The camera doesn't break the 180 rule, so that's good. She still looks too small again, so I'll grab both of these layers and scale it way up. Ooh. Welcome everybody just joining in. Let me know if you got any animation or game dev questions. We got lots of people popping in and out. I can't really see y'all too much, TBH, because I have my reference footage pulled up, but I'll try to check the chat periodically, see if y'all got any questions about what it is I've got going on. Sick. So the next sort of key pose, I'm going to duplicate this, and then on that duplicated panel I can turn both these down just to kind of keep them as an onion skin. And then I'll go ahead, make a new layer, turn this back down so I can draw on top of the blacks a little easier. And then I'll pull up my video reference and kind of see where that next one is. So I got a frame kind of showing the cut on action. I think that right there is sort of going to be my next pose with that sort of facial expression. And I'm not an actor, y'all, but I sure have fun acting for this shit. Let me tell you, pretty fun stuff. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead. I got my reference pulled up. Grab my black. Grab my pencil tool. Y'all notice I've been using the pencil tool instead of the brush tool, just because the pencil tool has less vertices and it's easier to make fills out of. Doesn't really matter. I mean, Storyboard Pro. It's not like the files are like destroying my memory. But especially if I was like in Harmony actually animating, then definitely using the brush tool versus the pencil tool is something you really got to pay attention to. Yeah. Alright, so that next sort of pose will reverse this C, and maybe she even like takes a step back, so this foot can end up over here, and maybe she'll have to take a couple steps back to get here when I actually start animating. We'll keep this one in the same place for now. We'd have a little bit of foreshortening, and actually, if I want her to be standing up straight, I think maybe she takes a little step and kind of pivots her foot the other direction. And we want the legs to straighten out, so the waist is going to be probably a little bit higher, maybe like right there. Can do something like right there. And I almost wonder, I actually might need a wider camera. Yeah, I'm drawing her too small. Camera could even zoom out. Could be a dolly zoom too. I could push it back and zoom in, or push it forward and zoom out a little bit. Use another super crazy lens like I did in the first shot. Yeah, I wonder. I'll just finish drawing her, I think. Let me see this pose. So, little nose, ecstatic face. I want to draw it so we can see the expression a little bit better at least. But again, storyboards especially I'm going to be working with a 3D rig. Like, I just don't want to be wasting time. Hands up, kind of euphoric. Woo, yay! And I think I will go back into Maya and indicate that I'm doing a dolly zoom, and I'll actually probably, I don't know, I'll probably push in and zoom out, just because I think that's like a little bit, where's that center line? Again, doesn't really matter, but I'm just trying to see. And maybe this one, the fingers could still be kind of bent in. Thumb out, these fingers sort of bent. And then what I'm going to do, I'll go back into Maya, I'll grab that shot 2, actually I'll go back to my 2-up view, so, whoops, did not mean to do that. Grab my panels, grab my perspective, change this over to shot 2. I have my shot 2 camera selected, so I'll go ahead, grab all the transformation values. I will, where is it, unlock all that, and then I will, yeah, I'll try pushing in and zooming out, so I'll change the focal length to like 5. That might be too much. Let's try 10. So, where was I before? There versus there. I think I might want a little bit more than that. Let's try like an 8. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And then I'll grab this screenshot, go back into Storyboard Pro, take my new screenshot, drag that in over the old background. So we're going from here to here, and then I can take, well, I'll turn the opacity on this down just a little bit. Whoops. And then I will take this. Let me get on the right layer, that would help. I'm also going to get my freaking pin, that would also help. So I'll scale that down and just kind of get those feet back into the right place a little bit. Maybe something like that. So we're going from there. Same thing, I'll make that little background layer real quick, and you can see how nice it is. When I don't have it, she really gets lost in that background easily. So I'll grab my pink.
Lucy, I'll get you fresh water.
Fill that in, delete these old layers, and turn the background back to 100. So now we have that. Cool. Yeah, and that's pretty much the whole process. So from here, I would definitely just, duplicate this panel, turn the opacity on these down, turn the opacity on this one down a little bit less. And then yeah, I would keep drawing, and when I was ready to do another shot, I would come in and create a camera and move it around, take my screenshots, place them where I want to be, draw on top of them, wash, rinse, repeat. If I'm doing camera moves, I'll try to think about that at this point, just because it's so much easier to figure out perspective if you're just literally drawing on top of a already made 3D perspective, which is why I did this dolly zoom the way I did. And that's going to be a nice crazy shot in the finished film. I will. I'm trying to get my own rig made, but I will show y'all real quick. This actual rig. Oh yeah, she's tiny in frame. Look at that. God, maybe I should have her on while I'm doing this. It doesn't really matter. Because I'll be able to figure all that out when I go to actually animate. Oh shit, I just moved my camera. Whoops. That's why I try to keep those locked. I did exactly what I was talking about earlier. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and lock these. Show this lady again, and then I'll switch over to my perspective view. Hit F to framer. That didn't do a very good job. Basically all I'm trying to show is that the rig I'm using is like comparable somewhat to the way I'm trying to draw, but like not very close at all. I'm definitely not drawing like on model, and it doesn't really matter as much with 3D. But if you've ever followed my streams or my tutorials before, at the beginning of this film I am going to be reusing my little 2D dog puppet, and this one I drew much more on model, which is also easier because it's a really simple goofy ass looking little dog. Alright, yeah, but that is the Maya 3D 2D pipeline. I think the only other thing I wanted to point out with this, I modeled this dog and like scaled it and pulled it into Unreal Engine, which is where I'm going to be doing my rendering. So I got him to the right scale first, and this kind of like dictates the scale of everything else that I'm doing. So when you're modeling, I highly recommend you like have some sort of scale reference, just so you know how big everything should be, and then you don't have to worry about any issues later down the pipeline. And I actually am thinking about it now, and I should probably tell one of my modelers who's working on the film that, because I don't think I told them where to find the scale reference, which is pretty funny. I actually know for a fact I didn't. Alright, yeah, that's it. I'm gonna keep storyboarding off camera, but it's been fun to be back. I'm gonna try to get a little bit more consistent, but like I said at the beginning, grad school is crazy, life is crazy, so I'll definitely try to make sure I'm on when it's super instructive. But that 5 times 2 hours a week shit I was doing before is not so sustainable at the moment. And yeah, that's it. Peace, love, gratitude. Thanks.